Welcome everyone to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. Today's pick a card reading was actually a suggestion from a viewer, so I'm very grateful for the suggestion. The viewer said that it would be really nice, particularly as part of the broader series that I'm doing around understanding who you are and all the gifts and special unique qualities that you have, etc., to also pause and look at what blessings do you have, possibly that you're aware of, possibly that you're not aware of, that you could be grateful for. And in the process of being grateful for that, you can then expand and build those things and use that for personal growth and also to bring more of that positive energy in. So it's a kind of a law of attraction type sort of energy we're talking about here, where we understand our blessings, whether they be skills that we have, whether they be people in our lives, whether they be opportunities that we've been given, whatever it might be, good health, generally optimistic outlook, whatever it might be, that we have as blessings that sometimes we maybe take for granted or we don't fully understand. And sometimes even a challenge can be a blessing because it actually teaches us something. So what we're going to look at today is, where are the areas in your life where you have blessings, where recognizing and being aware of that and building upon that and being grateful for it to the universe, to those that bring those blessings to you, can maximize and build that energy both for yourself and for others. We will have a bit of a look at how using some of those blessings to help others, who are the sort of people you could potentially help, a kind of pay it forward type of energy around it. And then what are some of the spiritual gifts and spiritual supports around you to really maximize your happiness and your prosperity and your blessings once you are really attuned to the sort of power of gratitude. So it's a really lovely, positive energy. And I'm very grateful to the viewer for bringing that up as a topic, because I think it'll be a really interesting and lovely set of readings. So I do hope that that interests you, and if so, that you tune in to whichever pile or piles, because there could be messages across more than one for you, that you feel connected to. To help with that, I have a sodalite crystal on pile 1, I have a jade crystal on pile 2, and I have a red jasper on pile 3. So if you're particularly drawn to crystal energy, that might guide you to the right reading or readings. You may have other ways of doing that. Whatever works for you, pause the video if you need to. But when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome to your reading, pile 1. So this first line of tarot cards is meant to give a bit of a sense about where are there blessings that possibly you're not seeing, or that you can manifest into something more. And don't be alarmed when you see that everything's reversed. That's somewhat unusual, but nevertheless that's the way that the cards came out. So Spirit's message, I think, to you in the first point here is that you are probably on the brink of certain blessings coming into being. They haven't quite yet landed, and it may be that one of the reasons you are drawn to this reading is that understanding those, seeing those, and having gratitude for how far you've come is the thing that turns a lot of this energy around and actually takes it forward. Because if we look at the first couple here with the World reversed and with the Alchemist of Water, which is like the King of Cups reversed, to me that suggests that there's one of two things that this could be talking about. It could be talking about the blessing of a relationship around you. With the Alchemist of Water or the King of Water reversed, it could be someone who is, it could be a relationship that is parental potentially, or somebody who is a friend rather than a lover, or a support in some way. But whatever the energy is around it, it's a positive energy, but it maybe the importance of it hasn't been seen. If it is a relationship, it may not yet have fully come into being. It may, in fact, I'm getting for some, might be something like a twin flame or a soul twin that you are picking up psychically and they haven't yet come into being. But it's saying that because of that, because there is something very profound emotionally that is on its way to you, or is going to transmute and translate into a different sort of relationship, the blessing is that you haven't yet committed to something else. Now, if you are in a committed relationship, then this is more around some emotional passion or some belief structure or something that you want to do creatively in the world. And again, what it would be saying is it may feel as though something hasn't quite yet landed or manifested, but that's actually a blessing, because something more is coming. It's not quite here yet. And one of the reasons potentially is that you need to get everything in order for this, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a creative project, whatever it is, so that you can manage speed when it comes. Because when this opportunity or this relationship comes, it is going to come very fast. And the Chariot energy, again, if that was the right way up, is needing to balance the sort of light and shadow, the emotions and the mind, all of those sorts of things, while things are going very, very quickly. But it is saying, Spirit is saying that there is a blessing that is almost in a quiet lull in your life at the moment. If you have felt like you weren't really clear of your destination or how to complete things and bring things into being, if you are feeling a bit stuck, like you haven't been able to move forward and you think maybe that's not a blessing, that's actually something that's difficult, this is saying that actually it's a blessing. This is because something else that is not yet fully embodied in this particular pack, the King of Cups, has the correlation to embodiment. So it's bringing that emotional thing, that relationship, that creative project, whatever it is, into being. There is a blessing around giving you time to prepare, because when you prepare, you're going to go out and do something new, different, new relationship, whatever it is, and you're going to be able to build something out of it, but it's just not ready yet. This with the Seven of Earth, which is like the Seven of Pentacles reversed, that suggests that you maybe have the seeds for the garden, for whatever it might be, but it's not the right time to plant them yet. And there is definitely for you a sense of pragmatism. One of your blessings is that you are pragmatic. You're the sort of person who, hearing this message, will get it. You will go, okay, that makes sense. Like I've got things ready and I have a sense of what's coming in. And I know ultimately where I'd like to land, but I can see the pieces of the puzzle haven't landed yet. So there's definitely a sense that there is a blessing in a lull and a time to plan, to think things through. If you think about the Fool reversed again, the Fool, when it's the right way up, just jumps in. This reversed, the more pragmatic approach, the more seasoned approach. So it suggests to me that this isn't your first rodeo in whatever it might be, whether it's a relationship, whether it's career, whatever it might be. The more seasoned approach plans, gets ready, understands the right timing and when to sort of plant, when to harvest, when to do those sorts of things. Because what Spirit is saying is that once whatever this is, and it might be more than one thing, it might be relationship and career and creativity, it could be only one of those, whatever resonates for you, whatever you felt a sense of destiny about, a sense that something is meant to move forward for you. You're not wrong, but if you felt stuck, it's actually a blessing, because when divine timing occurs, when it moves into place, it will work out for you. And it does feel to me like for many of you, it may be on the world stage in some way. Like it could be fame, but it could be just sort of like some sort of product you take out that is across the world, or a book that you write that's across the world. Or it could be a relationship that has a connection with other countries on some level. That might be part of it as well too. For some of you, I'm getting maybe there's a relationship that is long distance at this point, and the time isn't quite right for that to be not that, but it will at a various point in time. And at the moment, maybe this is suggesting that the relationship's best approach is to start planning for what that would look like, so that when one or other party moves, for instance, it's done smoothly. It's done pragmatically. But whatever it is, the whole intention of this reading is around a blessing. So all those reversals tell me that something really lovely is coming in, something that you're kind of aware of, something that you've been doing quite a bit of work towards, but it will come in with divine timing, and having gratitude for the fact that your spiritual team has your back and they are going to make sure that you don't go forward too quickly or miss the mark when you could have gone forward, and that you're going to be ready pragmatically is a blessing. So let's ask Spirit a little bit more information about how you can maximize this blessing. I mean, I think part of that message is quite clear. It's saying, wait, plan, get ready for whatever it is. And if it is a relationship and you don't know it, you just have a sense of it, then just wait for the person. Don't feel like it's going to come. Have faith, I guess. This is the blessing of faith, and being grateful that there is a plan beneath everything for you, and that your spirit team is supporting you. But how Spirit can, pile one, maximize the blessing of this particular energy, particularly through being grateful and understanding it. Okay, and that's all reverse as well too. And I swear, I mean, these decks have been really shuffled to death. So Spirit definitely wants to sort of double down on this message of waiting. It's like, I think this means probably that most of you that have come to this feel like you're just on the precipice of something and you really want to be the fool just stepping out into it, but you really do need to wait for the right time. There's been quite a bit of drama around this actually. It could be that one of the reasons that you're feeling constrained and feeling like is this ever going to come and wondering how you can be grateful for something that always appears to be just one step away is because there's been a lot of mental obsession around it all. Whatever it is, whether it's a relationship, whether it's the fact that you want a relationship and you haven't been able to find one, whether it's a long distance relationship, whether it's a tricky relationship that hasn't yet fully committed, whether it's a creative project, there's a lot of mental energy. You've been burning the candle at both ends. And I think what Spirit is saying with Ten of Air reversed is just to let some of that go. Like it's just trust. Gratitude connects to trust. And if you can do that, you stop feeling like you've done the planning, I think, is what Spirit is saying. You have done that. You don't need to obsess about every last detail now. Hand it over to God because it is going to come through at the right time. Let go of, again, we've got the Six of Air reverse. So it's like the Six of Swords reverse. So again, that's it, that sense of mental churn. And with the Hanged Man reversed, it's saying having a different perspective, looking at things differently will help. This is the thing. The blessing for you is almost wrapped up in what feels like the opposite. It's like you do feel stuck, but that is going to shift. But the thing that will bring it in more is the trust. It's almost as though you have to get, whatever this is, you have to get to that point of trust and belief, whether it's belief in yourself, belief in another person, belief in the divine. You have to get to that rather than trying to straitjacket it with your mind and with planning and with all of that sort of thing. If you can let go of that and have a different perspective that sees things happen at the right time, there's definitely a sense for many here that you are waiting to manifest something, or you've got some of the way towards whatever this is, and sort of feel like, oh, why isn't it speeding up? Why isn't it happening more? But that's because there will be the right time for this. It will come in at the right time. But you are really burning yourself out intellectually around this at the moment. So it's important to kind of like let go and trust. It's going to be such a relief for you that it might energetically unstop some of the blockages and just allow you to kind of move forward. Because if you went into the Chariot energy, pile one, while you're still mentally exhausted, it would potentially be very overwhelming. So this is like your spirit team making sure that you are match ready, match fit before you go into it. So let's have a look at, one of the things that I did want to look at is who you also might help through your gratitude, through paying it forward and so forth. And this does feel like there's something you want to bring into the world. And this understanding of the fact that things that come at the right time and not to get too obsessed, there's something, and having that different perspective, which I think is part of what you will bring either into a love relationship or into some sort of business or communication or creativity. So part of being grateful is also thinking about how you can pass that energy on. So I wanted to use some cards that look at the sorts of people that you might be able to help. And they'll often be people who are like yourself, I think, in this sort of thing, or who have similar sort of experiences or blockages or whatever, that you can help by the example of letting go and letting God, so to speak. So I'm just going to use 3 different decks with a few cards for each, just for characteristics. So this may be, you may recognize people that you know, or it may be, if this is more on the world stage and it's something that you're taking out to the world stage, it may be more about the type of people that this message would resonate with. Or it could be, if a big chunk of this is around a love relationship, it could even be sort of indications of the person as well. So it will depend on who's come to this reading. But firstly, okay, so firstly we've got stripes: attention, caution, rebel, respect. So I think this is picking up some people who might be a bit like you. I think part of your thing, and it is a blessing that you have this ultimately, when the energy unstops and you move forward, and we get moved from the 7 of Earth being reversed to the dynamic sort of energy of growth that comes with the 7 of Earth the right way up. You are a little bit rebellious. You are someone who likes to move quickly. That's why this hasn't felt like a blessing, but it actually is. And when the the plug is pulled in a sense, and everything is allowed to sort of move again, you're going to go, okay, I can see that. But there's something in that either in helping a loved one or creatively, or a message that you have, or even in something you do in your career, you're going to connect a lot with people who are like you, who are very respected in what they do, and I think you would be as well. And they do pay a lot of attention, but possibly overly do that, and are overly cautious or whatever, but at the same time want to move fast. So there's a dynamic in there that's like you, and that people, that you will be able to help other people. You'll be able to pay it forward and show how being able to sort of relax into the energy and let it come in at its appropriate time is really a helpful thing to do. For many of you, this is about something material. It's about something in the career. It's about material abundance, leadership, any of those things. And certainly for those of you that want to take a business out into the world, want to step up to the next level in a career, all of those sort of things, and have been obsessing a bit about it, that's really where timing is everything. Because it could be that you sort of jump into a new job because you think this is the step that I need and I'm impatient to deal with it, and then 2 months later the perfect job would come up, but you can't go there without appearing to be a bit of a flight risk and not reliable. So this is why it's very, very important to be pragmatic about what is really going to take you forward. And so if you didn't get a particular job, then it may be because a better one is coming. Or in a relationship, they say sometimes that rejection is protection. So if you have not been able to find the one yet, it's because the right one's coming in, and there's sort of something very material connecting to that. We also have the pig in Chinese astrology. So the pig sort of qualities are caring and generous, smart, outgoing, sometimes fearful, sometimes impatient, materialistic. So there's a very strong sort of sense across this of, I think it's almost describing some of you as well. So you may in fact be born in the year of the pig, if that aligns, or it may be that a loved one is, or it may be that those sort of years are important to steps in your life. It might be, if you look back at some of the more recent years there, maybe they were times where you hit this particular cycle, or potentially on the other hand where things really move forward for you. So if you're someone who moved forward a lot on something in 2019, so a couple of years ago, and you're feeling like, and now I'm sort of stuck, then remember what worked in 2019, because it may be that that's a bit of a sign of the sort of conditions around you where divine timing is operating. But it's also for other people to be able to help people in the same sort of way, look at things in the same sort of way. Let's get some more information on the type of personality profile there is for people that you could help with understanding and being grateful for your blessings and passing that message on. Okay, so the people that you are likely to be able to help and influence in this are highly idealistic. So there's something, this is probably picking up the kind of water energy around this. There's something about the love, the heart, the spirit around what you want to do, and also about letting go and letting God. To some degree, that is an idealistic thing to do. So, and some people will push against that. The Capricornian energy, and someone might push against that. They might go, that's lovely, but, is it realistic? So I think being able to show both, being able to show the gratitude for what one builds oneself, and then also what divine timing provides, and the ideals, connecting your ideals to that. I think that is a really powerful message that you can give to people from understanding it yourself, and you'll draw in people who are very idealistic, but can sometimes be a little bit self-indulgent as well. So again, it's the impatience thing. I do feel as though that your example will help people understand how to get that balance right. And they do have the capacity to see it. So I think this is the thing. The people that you will help with this, whether it's close friends and family, or whether it's people who see your work, or people who work for you, or whatever it might be, they will have the sight, the vision to be able to understand the message, to see it, and to be able to take advantage of that. You help them actually relieve some of the blindness of maybe their former way of thinking. So there's something quite revolutionary actually about you, but it's a weird sort of thing. It's like a quiet revolution which understands you get everything in play, and then you wait for the right time. Feels sort of martial artsy to me as well, that kind of going with the flow of energy rather than trying to resist it. So there's various ways that you could potentially manifest this, be grateful for it, and show it to other people. So last but not least, we'll just pull out another, say, 3 cards around the types of people or areas in which your gratitude and your blessings and your understanding may help others, and pay it forward. Okay, I think this is picking up people you probably know. Some of the rest of it may be picking up a broader audience, a world audience in some way, but I feel maybe there's someone close to you who is a water sign or has water strongly in their chart, so Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. So that's, and maybe they have medium or dark hair, and they need time, quiet time. Actually, it's interesting. I'm getting that for some of you, this might be someone who also helps you. You know, so it's sort of like you pay it forward to people, but they also help you because they feel like they're a little bit more tranquil. Like your message, you're almost like the first person who will see the message of what you're doing and understand where the gratitude comes from and support you is likely to be this person, I think. Okay, so now we have a sense about what your blessings are, which is divine timing, I think, in essence, and an understanding of that and a preparedness to go for it because you've done the work. And it's gratitude for understanding that and helping others to understand that as well too. Let's have a look at some of the spiritual gifts that you have that are also helping you bring in these blessings and make the most of it. Okay, so the YouTube platform, this is the Picking Up the World. I do think that many of you may take this message and you're learning out to others. You may do this sort of work, or you may do something else. You could do something around yoga or the healing arts or health in general with yoga, or spiritual practice and health together in some way. There's certainly a possibility that you could have a platform that builds a business. And again, the timing. Timing is everything with YouTube, with any of those sorts of platforms, about getting the right timing, getting everything in play, and then just letting it grow, letting it build organically and genuinely and so forth. And something that you can teach coming out there. Now, if you don't want to have a YouTube platform or work, in the health area, it may be that there are spiritual insights and ways of helping you get to that kind of balance and waiting through maybe looking into yoga, and there may be things on a YouTube or similar platform that are helpful for you as well too. If you're champing at the bit, going like, I get what you're saying, this is a blessing, but it's so frustrated, then maybe that will actually help fill in a bit of time and give you some other sorts of guidance. Okay, so we also have Reiki and numerology. So again, I do feel for many of you, you may either benefit from people who work in spiritual health practices that maybe calm your energy, and that may eventually be something that you can recommend to others, or you may do that yourself, or you may study that yourself. Numerology is something also that might be helpful for you in terms of learning about that, or getting your numerology done by a numerologist, because again, this is about like numbers are like time, about things happening at the right time, and this card says you can count on it. So again, it's like maybe it's you want on one level something that you can be grateful for and that can actually help you through this is any form of sort of spiritual balancing and acceptance and light healing and so forth. And equally, some information that quietens down that mind that can go at 1,000 miles an hour and exhaust itself. So there's something in here about either you taking that message out and that understanding and bringing that all together, if that's what you want to do, and if that's a blessing and how you'd like to share it, or it's going and using that sort of information from others to help you go through that and to really understand the blessings. We also have the Archangel Michael watching over you. So this is the heart of a warrior, divine protection, synchronicity. So again, everything is happening in divine timing, and it's powerful. Whatever you are going to bring in, whatever you can be grateful for, whatever you can help other people with is really powerful, because the Archangel Michael is the closest archangel to the divine, is so powerful as an energy and so forward moving, but it is about divine protection and it is about synchronicity, and I think the numerology will connect to that. So lastly, what I wanted to do in this reading was just ask for 3 other spiritual messages that help us to really connect to our gratitude and from that gratitude to getting the best outcome. So firstly, origins. Okay, so this may be suggesting that some of you have starseed type, light worker type origins, particularly if you're the people who are kind of into these sorts of things, and some of this is about your spiritual progress and how that manifests in the material world. It could also be saying that there is something in your origins. I do think there's something in the history, the patterns of your life. That's why I got the really strong sense around the pig card, although those cards were largely about people you could help. I definitely got this sense that it was also saying if you look back to particular times in your life, you're going to see this pattern has happened before, and that when you resisted it and didn't see it as a blessing, you didn't get all you could have got. But when you were able to relax and let something occur, that it happened. So think about that. Think about the origins around you. Secondly, self-care. So this picks up the Reiki, the yoga instruction and so forth. It either is that's an area that you yourself could work in and really manifest and really find blessings in, but equally being prepared to do that and take the time out for self-care is really important. So I think that's a really powerful energy, a powerful sign, a light to you about if you're feeling stuck, understand it's because it's not the right time, and that self-care will help you be balanced with that and help you be happy with that. So lastly, in terms of this reading and in terms of looking at the blessings around and how you can maximize those and have gratitude, I want to also ask for the last sort of piece of advice, which is around the sort of signs that you would see if you are starting to get to the point where this blessing will really manifest. And I think the blessing really manifests when it does start to move forward, when it does start to come into being, and you can see how perfect the timing was. So Spirit, what sign would pile 1 see when that is starting to really come into being? Seedlings. That's interesting because I had that sense of the seedlings and the growth and when you put things into being. Some of you may work in agriculture or the environment in some way, or it may be that you see seedlings, you read about things being seeded in some way, or you really just have that first sign. It's like you'll really start to understand when the brakes are taken off this and the timing is right. There may be very small and subtle signs of growth. And that is telling you, remember we have the Chariot underneath there in reverse, that the Chariot is going to turn around and then it's going to really speed up. Once you start to see small shifts, you're going to know it's like a rock starting to roll down the hill, and it rolls slowly at first, but it gets bigger and bigger and faster and faster as time goes on. So watch out for the little signs of growth, because that will be telling you that you're coming into the harvest. You're coming into spring and summer. I actually get a sense of suddenly had a sense of Persephone coming out of the underworld, because it's the right time to bring the summer back, to bring the spring back, and to have that growth. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 1. I hope you understand that the blessing may not feel like a blessing right now, but it will once this time has passed. And I think you will be able to help others and pay it forward by showing them the importance of having that patience and that understanding of the rhythms of time and the right timing. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you do relate to this, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So these tarot cards are meant to give a sense of where some of the areas of blessing are for you in your life at the moment, and how acknowledging those and being grateful for those can help both manifest even more for you and help others. So for you, I feel like you may have been in a period in the not too distant past, or even right now, and this is now starting to shift, of feeling quite alone, possibly feeling a little bit stretched financially as well, and a little bit self-critical, because here we have the 5 of Earth reversed, but it's reversed. So the 5 of Pentacles, when it's the right way up, is loneliness. It's material privation and that sort of thing. So I think that this is you coming out of that. And the process that this particular deck talks about for the Five of Earth is modification. It's the understanding of what it was that made you have material issues, have sort of a sense of being loneliness or apart and so forth. And we have it next to the Mystic of Air, which is like the Queen of Swords upside down. So I feel as though this was you being your own worst enemy in a way, your own worst critic. I think you were very harsh on yourself. I think that possibly something happened, a material reversal, a relationship that fell apart, a friendship that became strained, and you took on all the blame. But you're starting to realize that's not the case. You're starting to see maybe you've heard something, maybe you've learned something about it, or maybe just having gone through the process and really examine it and being prepared to look into your shadow as well as the shadow of others. You've been able to work out that you were not at fault necessarily. Now, there may be some choices, particularly around financial things that you made that in retrospect you wouldn't make again, but you've had the learning. So the blessing of that energy is coming out of a sense of loneliness, separation, financial difficulty, and self-blame. So part of the blessing is to understand that that's not the full story. And I think you've seen it, because here we have the star and the sun. So there is a renewal of hope for you. There is something that is making you feel hopeful again after a dark period of time. And you can see how you could be back on your life path. But you also know, you're a pragmatist, you know there's still going to be competition, battles and so forth with the Five of Fire or Five of Wands there. So it's not that you think, okay, I've got it all sorted and everything's going to be easy street. It's that you've renewed somehow in coming through this and being able to look at yourself very critically, but then be able to understand when that was hypercritical, like go through that process. You have a renewed sense that you can face things, that you have the optimism and you have the self-belief and you have the energy and the charisma and all those sort of things, that when life throws reversals, you no longer feel thrown for a loop and that you're alone and that you have to blame yourself. You can actually look, these characters are looking in different directions about what the whole environment is telling, what is going on there, and feeling more that you are in control. So the blessing for you, whether it's around a relationship, whether it's around career, money, family, whatever it might be, is that you've gone through something that probably didn't feel like a blessing, but you've understood something. You've been very brave. Like, you are a very brave person, like almost too brave in the sense of, I think there was a period of time where you blamed yourself more than you should, but you are coming to that realization. And I think you did it fairly rapidly. I feel with the Mystic of Air or the Queen of Air, even reversed, I feel like she's very sharp, very quick. I think you move through those sort of things quickly. One of the things that is a blessing for you that you can be grateful for is a very sharp mind that can look at yourself honestly and bring balance back, even if it's coming from sort of a difficult time. And that is why you become more and more confident about dealing with the competition or the battles that might be around you. Now, I don't think, one of the other blessings around this pole too is I don't think that in the immediate future anyway, there are major battles. The Five of Fire is the sort of lesser level of conflict, the lesser level, it's like tussling. The Seven of Wands, it's not conflict necessarily, but it's competition on a much bigger scale. So unless we see the Seven of Fire down here for the next step, I would think that you're heading into a better period of time. And I think part of the blessing to be grateful for is that emotional and intellectual maturity you have and how that's helped you come to that. And it may well be, when we look at who you could help, that sort of approach and that sort of way of dealing with things might be something that you can pay forward and help others with, so that they can also understand their blessings and understand themselves better. But let's ask Spirit for a little bit more information about how to maximize these blessings now. So if you've gone through a difficult time, you've put yourself through the ringer to work out how much was your fault, and you've come out with a much more balanced and optimistic way of looking at it, what can you do if you are really grateful for that and really aware of that skill that you have? How can you maximize that even more? Wow. Yeah, you're definitely coming into a better cycle, but you've earned it. Like, you can be grateful for it and grateful for the abilities and the parts of your soul and your divine guidance and all of those sort of things, and you have a lot of divine guidance. But it is your work as well too, so own it. You have materialized it yourself. So what this is saying is that we have two of the cards that are out of the fifth suit in this particular tarot deck, which is spirit. So we have earth, fire, air and water, like the normal tarot deck, and then there is spirit as well. And we have both the Ten of Spirit and the Seeker of Spirit, and the Seeker of Spirit is like the Page of Spirit, so that's sort of like beginning on a journey. What this is saying is that once you are grateful for this and you understand what you did and how you did that and how you moved through that dark night of the soul, you crystallize some real downloads and energy from spirit. You come to understand better how connected you are to spirit, to the divine. And I think it starts to make you look at a journey that really includes that as well too, to bring things into manifestation. So it's you can manifest much more once you really start to see the connection to the divine, as well as your capacity to think things through. I think that something in your early life made you very independent, whether it was difficulties in family, whether it was not fitting in at school, whatever it might be. And I think you've relied a lot on your mind, and your mind is really, really, really sharp, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. And it certainly was a blessing here, because it made you be able to really examine something and really work out what was you, and you can modify and what was other people, and so forth. So your mind has always been an incredible blessing for you and will continue to be. But what Spirit is saying is that there's this element as well too. You are very connected, and the more you connect to that star energy, and the more you understand your life path with the sun, it's a realization, as this card says, then that takes you to the next level. Understanding the sort of gratitude energy of this, the pay it forward energy of this, and the connection to the divine, that will take you even further. That will take you to a whole other level of understanding these things, and how they are learnings and growth opportunities and so forth, that then allows you to manifest in the world, because the alchemist of earth is like the King of Pentacles. So really manifesting something. It could very well be that the learnings and the understandings and the blessings here that you take into some sort of business or career in some way, and you help others in that. But your next step is sort of understanding that your mind is connected to the divine, and that there are different sources of that revelation. And that gratitude energy is one of the things that really opens up your heart chakra and also your crown chakra to bring that energy in. So one of the things I wanted to look at here is, if we have these blessings and we're grateful for them, who are the sort of people we might help? So I'm going to do some various decks here that gives different sort of personality characteristics and information about people. So this may pick up individuals you recognize, who this is saying that your gratitude for this and your realization of this and what you can bring and manifest may then also help others to become grateful, understand and grow for themselves. But it could also be that if you take this into a business or something like that, that it might be, what's your natural client base that could benefit from your realization. So firstly, let's get 3 characteristics from this first deck. Okay. So there could be a connection to Asia. You could come from Asia. You could have people there in Asia that you connect with in some way, friends, relationships, clients, whatever it might be. You might set up a business line there that has a lot of growth potential. So any of those things could be connected to, and it could be something about your approach and your way of looking at things that very much works with the Asian sort of cultural sensibilities. There is something about healing. You will heal people a bit with this, and that makes sense. If you've been able to work through the dark night of the soul in a way there, then part of what you could do, particularly connecting to the divine, would be to get to the heart chakra. Remember I said I felt like it was your heart chakra and your crown chakra that open? So I think there's a similar journey for some of the people, and it brings manifestation for them too. This actually has a bit of a feeling of a motivational speaker or something like that. You could be like that if you wanted to. I mean, you don't have to be, but it feels like someone who's gone through stuff and worked through stuff themselves, and then they can basically get up on a stage and tell other people how to do it and how to take that forward and how to manifest something in reality, because we've got gold, expensive, luxurious, abundant, heavy. You may well if you do anything out of whatever way this manifested in your life, if you take it into a career or into a message, you may well have very, very well off clients, I have to say. So you may have a message that's very appealing to them and potentially healing to them. If they've been very, very fixated on the material and they haven't been as connected to understanding themselves and their heart, then I think that you may bridge that gap for them because you've understood it yourself. This blessing of the difficulty you went through and the rebirth of hope and direction and the capacity to deal with conflict if necessary is something that's very inspiring to other people. Let's use another deck for some other personality characteristics of the sorts of people you could help with your sort of grateful understanding of the blessings that you have. Okay, I think there's something in this where you're going to travel quite a bit. If you don't travel literally, then there's a lot of other countries, world basis to this. There's a breadth, there's a diversity of the sort of people because firstly we have language. So I feel like there may be many languages. You could write a definitive book that is translated into many languages that takes this message, for instance, or you may just deal with a lot of people. You might be multilingual and you might deal with other people who are. But there's also this sort of inhabitativeness. So it's about where people feel at home. And there's a bit of a nomadic, side of this. Plus there's also interesting reclusive. I think that you might reach people who maybe have stepped back because they don't feel the confidence that you have. So and they've kind of become reclusive. So your message gets to them in some way. You're very, very good at speaking your truth. This is partly the Queen of Swords energy. And I think it's a very positive Queen of Swords energy, even though it's reversed. I think it's this, you're very good at articulating what you have learned, what you have seen, and in a way that reaches a diverse audience. So let's pull 3 more cards from another sort of personality type deck, just for any other information for you on the sorts of people that you could help through your understanding of your blessing. Okay, there's definitely something about people who maybe hide away a bit or maybe live in their head a bit with introvert there. They're successful people though, by and large, I would say. Or they are people who could be very successful if they were more confident in some way. So this could be where you can touch upon that. And you may well have been quite an introvert and maybe an introvert by nature yourself anyway, because you do go very internally to look at things, and so do introverts. So you may appeal to and be able to help others who have maybe not yet known how to shine their star and their sun because they're still kind of cogitating on themselves. Maybe there's sort of something to do with artistic, creative sort of things, creative sort of people who are a little bit against the grain, who aren't necessarily conservative in the way they dress and come across. It's possibly there. These people are very skillful. These people are going to be successful. There's something successful about you, and it will draw and help other successful people. Okay, so let's now look at spiritual support for you as well. So there were some cards that were under the crystal that you chose to come here that show different forms of spiritual ability, and so I wanted these to just to see how else this can sort of turbocharge your gratitude and the abundance that you bring in. So we have star attunements and augur. Okay, so it's interesting with augur because augury, is the kind of spiritual master seer, being able to predict and so forth. And it's often, an augury can be around things like financial outcomes and things like that, the beneficial energies and so forth. So I think this connects with your ability to see what is going to be successful. Like I think that's part of what you do. You see what is going to be successful and you understand where things can be improved and so forth, so that they don't fail to reach what their potential is. So, but you'd be very good potentially around the stock market or something like that if you wanted to get into that sort of thing. You'd have a real kind of sixth sense around that. And with star attunements, this is like high spiritual healing. This is picking up what Spirit was saying to you here about really connecting in with your spirit even more, because you have a life mission, you have something, you came here for a reason. But I do think that you've been living more in the sort of material and mental world, and I think it is time to sort of really understand and see what else you can bring to the table spiritually. Okay, so pendulum, you see this picks with the augury. You are probably naturally good at divination, whether you do it or not. But you could do this sort of thing, you could use a pendulum and dowse, you could do any number of things. There's something around that. And it's part of that ability, that seeing, is part of how you work this out. Again, you probably thought it was more just your thinking, because your thinking is so spot on. But there's also that kind of augury, that sense also spiritually, and getting more and more into that and using more and more of that energy will just turbocharge what you can be grateful for, and also how you can help others. But there is some letting go of the past, so there is some residual thing from this. Don't keep going over it again and again and again now. This is suggesting that you've done all the self-reflection you need to do on that, and you should be moving into a much more positive phase. If you made mistakes, we all make mistakes. That's what it is to be human. If you were wrong about something, it's fine, as long as you find out something different and you take that on and you change. The only thing that would be a problem if you were wrong is if you then refuse to take in the information that tells you what is actually the case or what is more useful to you. So as long as you keep moving forward, you will be fine. Let go of the past. We have the Crystal Kingdom here for you. Slowing down materialism and psychic debris. So yes, there is some debris. It's saying don't let that slow you down. Don't let that sort of like weigh you down in any way. Get into this star and sun energy, because you're more than equipped to deal with whatever else comes along. And if you have to slow down a bit now to let this come through, that's fine. Just stay optimistic. The blessings are coming through for you. So to finish off, I want to use 3 different decks for just 3 last spiritual messages for you to help you with being grateful for what you have at the moment, the blessings you have at the moment, and what you can do with those going forward. So firstly, hope. So you have that anyway. You had it right at the beginning. But this is just Spirit saying what you need to really understand from this is that hope has wings. Hope can fly. That is a powerful and good thing. Don't sit in the analytical energy of the Queen of Swords reversed to the degree that you give up hope. I don't think you will. I think you know that now. I think whatever this is that you've gone through, you're in that space now. And to stay in that space of gratitude is also to stay in the space of hope. So I think Spirit is just doubling down on that. We'll use another deck for another message for you. Going inward. So I think that Spirit's kind of having a bet each way here, because on one level I think you do that anyway. You have gone inward, you'd have done that. And I think it is saying it is a blessing that you were able to do that, and never let go of that capacity. That capacity to self-reflect is really important. But I think going inward here is also picking up the sense of meditation and so forth. So I think it's about connecting to what Spirit was saying would be the thing that took this to the next level, that kind of inward that is then to connect to the divine. You just need to keep that balance right and you'll be fine. And so to help with that, to close out the reading, I want to ask Spirit for some guidance on what sign or signs might you see to let you know that you're really starting to move into this connection to the Spirit that really maximizes the blessings and what you can help others with as well. Okay, the 3 monkeys. Well, that's interesting. So, the 3 monkeys is, of course, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. So that suggests that for many of you, and that might be why the 5 of Wands was up there, that the environment that you're in and whatever you've gone through, there has been some sort of tussle, some sort of competition, maybe people not speaking the truth, all of those sorts of things. So the 3 monkeys to me always suggests that sense of either close that out, go inward, work it out for yourself. Don't get everybody's ideas, including a tarot reader on YouTube. That could be what it's saying, but it could also be saying that when you get to the point where you feel like something like that is going on, pay attention to it, because that tells you where things need to adjust. It may also be that you hear about other people going through stuff like this, and that's part of what you help them with, and you take them out of the space of looking for what's right or wrong in something, and you take them to a space where they align better with what they are. Or you may literally be thinking, planning something, and then see the three monkeys symbol or hear about it or something along those lines. So whatever it is, there's something there that Spirit wants you to think about or acknowledge as a synchronicity, as a sign that I think you're moving out of just being in the head and into the spiritual connection that shows the gratitude and the growth that is really going to take you far. So I hope that that is helpful for you, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you have any comments, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So these tarot cards to start with are meant to give me a bit of an idea about where is the blessings in your life that you either may not be aware of at the moment, or if you became more aware of them and sort of like came into a position of gratitude about them, you could really maximize them and grow from that. I feel that the people coming to this reading, it's something around relationship, it's something around love, whether it's family love, friendship love, or romantic love. But I feel as though there has been a blessing that may have felt not like a blessing, but nevertheless was a blessing, is I think you've found something out about a relationship or a series of relationships. You know, as I say, it could be love, it could be friends, it could be family. Something that has been a bit hidden has recently come to the surface or is about to come to the surface, which will be a blessing for you. And it will allow you to make a better assessment about what you want in terms of relationships in your life. With the Five of Water, which is the Five of Cups, it's interesting in this deck, it talks about it as awareness. And I really like that sort of energy because it puts an emphasis with the 3 upwards triangles there as opposed to the downwards. It gives to me a sense, instead of the sort of like various cups spilled over or not spilled over, of heading in the right direction, having come to awareness. And when we have the Nine of Water or Nine of Cups reversed, in this pack, the Nine of Water brings illumination. So something, I think that there is something that has been false or has not been what you thought it was. And it may have been painful, but on the other hand, it's clarified things for you. So it's a blessing. And I don't think, you're very resilient. I mean, whatever this is, you retain your sense of optimism. It just makes you think, oh, I've believed something that's not really working for me. So it could be a relationship that you thought was reciprocal that isn't. It could be stuff from family, which was a programming from your family that you finally come to sort of realize is not right, and that you have more reason to be optimistic and hopeful and true to yourself and aligned with spirit and all that sort of thing. But whatever it is that it's rectifying a belief. So whatever this thing is, and if it isn't sort of something bad that's come out that you've heard, it's just maybe extra information, knowledge and so forth. So for some of you, I'm getting that you may have been studying things around psychology or therapy or something like that, and the mysteries of it have been laid before you, and you've got that sense about how to help yourself and others around having authentic emotional relationships and connections. But you've also thought of something that is true to you that's maybe a little bit different, that you've had this revelation, this inspiration or something like that. So it's either a relationship or series of relationships where you found out something that's made you be able to more clearly work out what it is that you want and what would be a beautiful relationship or series of relationships for you. Or as I say, it may be that you have been looking into this and really studying it in some way, and you've come to understand that there is an innovative way of approaching this, that it works better for you, that you're grateful for, and that could help others. So let's ask Spirit for just 3 more cards from the tarot around how to maximize this then. This revelation. Your blessing is a revelation of something, a revelation of the mystery, a revelation of the method, and a liberation from the beliefs of others, so that you can actually start to work out what will work better for you, what you can walk away from, and what you can walk towards. So Spirit, how can pile 3 really maximize, by being grateful for this and understanding its importance, how can they really maximize the blessings in their life? Okay, so we've got the Eight of Air, which in this pack, I mean, the Eight of Air is like the Eight of Swords, and that is where we can tie ourselves up. So I think it's liberating. Part of it is liberating yourself. Now that you've actually had this revelation, liberate yourself from patterns and from repetition, repetitive sort of relationships, repetitive sort of patterns and so forth. You can liberate yourself from that, and you can start to attune, and you can move forward under your energy. So the Traveler of Fire is like the Knight of Wands. So that is that passion and energy and drive and bravery and courage. Like once you've liberated yourself from ideas that no longer serve you, you can do that. And you can recognize that things with the world reversed that didn't complete shouldn't have completed. Like there was a flaw in the weave of whatever this is, and knowing that and being able to move forward with that information, you become more attuned to who you really are. It's really interesting. When I put that card down, I don't know why, but I thought of the Led Zeppelin song Kashmir. So if you are familiar with that song, maybe listen to it. I feel like that sort of story of spiritual exploration and finding oneself in that song, and just the music of it, it just, to me, feels just like that card in this, and connected with the High Priestess reversed with the mysteries being opened up and shown to you in some way. So for some of you, this could be a very profound spiritual understanding you've come to. It's like an initiation, a new level on some level for something. But if that's the case, I still think there's something very quirky in you that, like, if you were initiated into some sort of mystery school or something, there's also something in you that is very individual, and don't lose that. But it could be saying, under those circumstances, I'm getting, if any of you are in some sort of spiritual practice like that, it may be saying that's where repetition is actually helpful, as long as it's used to attune you to who you are. So repetition that is not making you feel passionate and alive and grateful and happy is probably something to let go. But any repetition, ritual or whatever you might do, I'm getting that some might do this, that will actually be a good thing for you. And there's so much further to go too, I think, the Spirit is saying. Like, you have a very long journey of whatever it is, manifestation in the world, relationships, spirituality or whatever, and just being happy for that, because you've really started to see where you could go and who you are uniquely in this. So you're blessing out of maybe, and not all of you, but out of some for you, it might have been some not particularly pleasant information. You are actually at this whole other level. And for others, it's through the work that you've done, the revelation that you have got, and to be grateful for the teachers, but now to take it forward as you are. This is pretty profound. So let's have a look at who you might help. So what I wanted to do in this part of it is if we are grateful for our blessings, then in one way or another, I think we help others as well. It may be by example, sort of an osmosis of energy. It could also be that we teach others or we take a product out that helps people, whatever it might be. So I wanted to get some information for you about the sorts of people that you might be able to pay it forward to, who may be able to understand what you've learned and benefit from that, so that your gratitude and your awareness grows not only you but other people. So firstly, I'm going to use 3 different packs with characteristics just to give it an idea. And it might be individuals that you recognize. It might also just be types of people over a much longer journey over your life. Okay. You have been dealing, I would say, this is telling me very clearly, you have been dealing either with a relationship or with people around or with a spiritual practice or something that isn't quite what it appeared to be, but you are able to do something new with it and so forth. But that there are interesting people, if the people who could benefit the most from your gratitude and your growth and your example are people who maybe or also following something or have a tendency to follow something that isn't quite right for them. And we've got plastic, perfect, cosmic surgery, acrylics, fake. If you have been in spiritual groups, it may well be that you have worked out that the group that you're in is not living up to what it is. It's all about appearances. It's all about ego. And you've started to understand that you have a different way of approaching things and so forth. And it may be that if there are other people who have been around you who have felt a similar thing, when you start to talk about what you do and your ethics and your spirituality, you may draw people to you who don't want the sort of plastic, who want to move into something that's more real. Also people who want to change. With the snake, I always feel the snake, that just as an emblem, it's an emblem of change and regeneration and so forth, shedding the skin. So I do feel that, but it also could be people born in the year of the snake, or who have characteristics like people born in the year of the snake. They're clever, curious, alluring, wise, but also a bit calculating. And here we have this sort of sharp sort of people, cunning. So it may be, I'm getting that for some of you, that this could in fact be describing someone that you had a relationship with. And in fact, by you separating from them and being grateful for the learning, even if you don't stay together, they actually benefit in some way from that as well too. They get a little bit of a aha moment, a bit of a wake-up call. For others, as I say, if it's in a group, or if you draw people to you in groups spiritually or otherwise that are clever, but maybe have used that cleverness to fit in for a long time, and they start to see that it's possible to go beyond that and to use knowledge and ability and skills in a way that's more authentic. You help. I think you show by example if that's the case. Let's look at some other personal characteristics from a different deck. Okay. So it's interesting, we've got the High Priestess mystery reversed. Some of you, as I say, you come across some information. Maybe some of you are basically a little bit of a sleuth, a little bit of a detective. And so you've come across something and that's had the aha moment for you. And it's made you sort of understand some of the patterns that were around that weren't working for you. So other people who like the concept of getting to the depths and finding out what's really going on, a bit of sleuthing is there. They can be a bit nosy though. So just be a little bit careful with the people that you're helping, that they don't try and replicate you too much and get too much into your business. They probably won't do it too much because also like you, they're very individual. They want to be individual, but they'll observe and watch. And I think they're similar to you on that level. I actually feel like these are different to these. I feel like that may be a relationship or people that you've been dealing with who learn from the example of you moving onwards. I think these are more close to people like you, who may watch the example and want to follow that to be able to find their truth as well. So you become a real symbol of individual truth, I think. Let's look at one more deck for some other characteristics for you. That one wanted to come out. Interesting. Okay, I think this might be a person you know or a person you're going to meet that your approach and your way of looking at things is going to really help, and that is part of the paying it forward in some way. It seems to be that they like good food, they're into the culinary arts, potentially they may be an air sign, so Gemini, Aquarius, or I'm having a mind, Libra. Sorry, my mind was freezing. And social butterfly, maybe particularly Libra actually, with social butterfly. So they're sort of someone who really likes to be in with the group and is very clever and witty and so forth. So if some of this was around a group that wasn't really what it appeared, and you've learnt that and you've stepped away from it, so maybe one of the people will follow you because they like to fit in and so forth, but they also like you. They want to be around you, and they like the example that you bring. Okay. So now I want to move into a spiritual side of this. I do think for some of you there is something very spiritual about this, and it's like maybe a spiritual tradition or group or whatever that we're describing here. But for others it's sort of maybe a romantic relationship or social groups or even a work group. So I really want to now look in at what the spiritual energies and spiritual beliefs and abilities you have that will help you to really get into that space of gratitude, stay in that space, and really grow with this energy from the blessings. So we have pendulum reader, an astral projection. Okay, wow. So I do think many of you, if you don't do divinatory stuff, could do divinatory stuff. So pendulum reader is scrying, rune casting, dowsing, that sort of thing. So if you have a pendulum, or as it has here, even just maybe, a piece of jewelry on a chain, you may find that you're able to kind of get a yes-no feeling about this, to sort of really test out what information you think comes to you and to really harness that sense and that capacity to sleuth in and see what's going on. We've also got astral projection. So you may be someone who has out-of-body experiences. Your dreams may be very important, actually. It's interesting with the Ace of Air reversed there. It may be saying that it is a good idea to learn the practice around that and the boundaries around that, because I'm just getting that astral projection where possibly the air element is in reverse could be not having the grounding that you need to really get something out of it. Or you could be someone who has amazing dreams, but it's hard to remember them. But if you put in practice a dream journal, for instance, or something like that, then you're going to ground that more in some way and you'll get more information. A lot of information is coming to you. Yeah, you're psychic. And you're connected to the divine. So certainly those who are in a spiritual practice, you are, even if you're moving away from something, then you're moving in the right direction. And if you have been initiated to a higher level, even though you are going to be able to be yourself in this in some way and probably bring something new to the table, you are still moving in the right direction. That's definitely saying that, and you can manifest your dreams. But it does say you need to rely, if you are not a naturally spiritual person, if you go, well, I'm not in the spiritual tradition, you need to really start to honour how much of the information comes to you because of that kind of psychic energy. And you do probably read minds incredibly well. So if you get a gut instinct about someone, particularly some of these snake-like people, or if this was a relationship that didn't work out, then trust that, because, and the more you trust that, the more you'll realize you have that blessing. And then we have the celestial channel around you, hidden beauty, remaining optimistic and staying neutral. So this is you. So in the midst of all of this, you have stayed neutral and you have stayed optimistic. There is a beauty to what you can do with that, and that is part of the different way of approaching things. I do feel that in whatever form this is, a relationship, a workplace, a spiritual group, there's probably been a lot of storm and petulance and infighting and all that kind of thing going on at some level. And you can remain calm because you just get the information, you watch it, you observe it, and you make the decisions that suit you. And that's going to be the blessing that you have to take yourself forward. It's also going to be something that's a blessing to others who observe that in you and see that that's a true understanding of things. So to finish off, I want to use 3 more decks to look at just spiritual blessings or advice beyond that for you. So just anything else that Spirit wants to say as a closing out message for you to really embrace the gratitude for this, and to embrace the sort of knowledge and the depth that you have, and the move towards something individual and authentic. So firstly, we have Ignite. Okay, you are meant to lead people, I think, and you are meant to ignite your own passion and move forward. And maybe it's almost like the star energy ignites your next step. You are meant to do something with this, whatever it was, whether it's bringing in a new relationship that's better for you because you've realised who you are, or whether it's igniting the passions and the interest and the excitement of others who can see how they can follow in your footsteps. You're meant to do something, and you're certainly meant to follow what is authentically true to you. Secondly, okay, conflict. So it is saying there is going to be some conflict around you, which I think that you will handle, be able to deal with that. There's something about what you understand, and this is going to be a pattern in your life, I think it's saying. One of the blessings for you is that you do see below the surface. Inevitably, when that's the case, that can bring conflict. But that capacity to tune in and trust your inner knowing helps you navigate that conflict. And I think in any conflict, you can ignite people to your side, to what you're doing, because what you're doing is more authentic, and because you come from a place of truth and you uncover where things are not authentic. So to close out, I want to ask Spirit for what would be a sign to you that you were really, really starting to manifest this even further, and that your gratitude and understanding of this is taking you even further towards whatever it is that is you intrinsically, which is what this is all really about. You see hearts. So some of this for you, goes right back to relationship, whether you become someone who helps people around relationships, whether it is about mending your own broken heart and finding the right relationship, if that was what this was about. Whatever it is, hearts, love, those sort of things, that sense of the heart chakra opening, all of those things will tell you you're heading in the right direction and that you're being authentic to yourself. You may also hear songs about hearts, you may read poetry talking about hearts, you may see hearts on thumbnails on YouTube, you could see it and you often will see hearts on sort of greeting cards or on sort of fabrics that people wear and so forth. So whenever you see that, pay attention to what you were thinking about, what you were contemplating at the time, because it's Spirit trying to send you a synchronistic message that you're on the right path. So I hope that that resonates for you. I hope that it shows you a real blessing, which is a blessing of acuity and understanding and depth and individuality, and that you do feel grateful for that from the universe, and that is within you, and that you can actually pay that forward and help others with it. Because if you do, you can ignite a lot in other people. You can probably resolve conflict, and you can take people back to their heart space. And I think that's a really important thing. And you can do the same thing for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed the reading, Pile 3. I hope that it resonated for you, and I hope you liked it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you do want to share around this, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.